All right, hello. All right, hello. So, first of all, I want to welcome everybody here to 𝗕𝗞𝗞 𝗧𝗵𝘂𝗀𝗀. So my name is Jostein Aksnes. I'm the CEO of 𝗕𝗞𝗞𝗀𝗀. So first of all, I want to, of course, thank the BNU team for coming here and bringing this interesting event to our venue. And of course, thank all the great speakers for coming here and all of you to take the time to come in and join this event. So 𝗕𝗵𝘂𝗀𝗀𝗋, just quickly, we started in 2014. We are a digital product consultancy business, so we do help local and international enterprise clients and startups build digital products. So everything from software architecture, design, implementation, data and analytics, etc. So end-to-end digital product consultancy. We now have a team of around 200 people. We also recently had MorphoSys join us, I think, 3 months ago, bringing in their design team, digital marketing capabilities. So now we have an end-to-end digital consultancy. So if anybody is looking for any assistance on any digital products, please talk to me or some of the other guys here, and we're happy to see how we can help you. And we're always hiring, so if anybody want to come back here and have Friday beer here with us every Friday, or then please come and talk to us as well. So thank you, and then I'll leave it to you.
Okay. All right, thanks, Jostein, for the great introduction. So my name is, if we can have the slides up. Yes, thank you. So my name is Marty from BNU Asia Pacific, the organizer of this BYOND Thursday event. So a little bit about BYOND Thursday. So this is a networking series event that we're hosting in order to build up to our main event called BYOND Mobile towards the end of September. Yes. So if you're into 5G, IoT, connectivity, or just basically technology, you're more than welcome to join us next month at Samyan Midtown right here in Bangkok. The event is free of charge. We're going to be having a lot of engaging activities, panel discussions from leading companies like True 5G, Rohde & Schwarz, Nokia, Intel, AIS. A lot of interesting topics if you guys are interested. So these are the companies, just a brief preview of who's coming. So we have companies in the field of digital health like AstraZeneca, British Telecoms, True, Nokia, RV Connect, and of course Rohde & Schwarz. And yeah, the event is free to join. So if you're interested, feel free to scan the QR code, and we have the QR code ready on the table as well. So hope you guys enjoyed the night, and I would like to give the stage to Michael. Thank you.
Thank you. I feel like there are a lot of familiar faces here from the last time we did this. Can we get the panelists to come up here as well, please? Yeah, definitely bring your beer. It'll make it a lot better that way. So while the panelists are coming up, just a little bit of an introduction. My name is Michael Waitze. And as Marty said, and as Jostein said, we want to welcome everybody to BYOND Mobile. It's a version of BYOND Thursday. And again, thank you to the BNU Asia Pacific team and to the entire 𝗕𝗞𝗞𝗀𝗀𝗃𝗃 team for doing this. These events I find are really great. And as he said, we're going to discuss how 5G transforms the IT and software sector today. And just like the last time I did this, I just want everybody to know we don't want to just interview these panelists. What we want to do is we want to try to have a conversation with people. So to the extent that we can, we'll take questions from the audience as we're going along. I like to say I have some of the questions. The guests will have all the answers, but I definitely don't have all the questions. So if there's something that's interesting and relevant and you want to say something, I will try to facilitate that. Let me just quickly say who the panelists are going to be. Ubon Sutthana, the Vice President of the Association of the Thai Software Industry. 1 second. Dan Itsara, the CTO at Ascend Commerce Group, and Per-Erik Bergman, who from now on I'm going to call Eric. That's what he told me to do. The head of mobile at Central Tech. And before we get to the really central part of this conversation, let's have each one of the guests give a little bit of an introduction of themselves. Please go ahead.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Good evening, everybody. You can call me Oi. Okay, Ubon Sutthana. I work for some system. I'm a CEO for the represent for the product education sphere. It's a start from 1998. The product, this is start for, we work for the Ministry of Education and about the school and university around the Thailand to develop about the peoples, to develop the digital contents and e-learning platform. Okay.
Thank you. Dan, you want to take the microphone?
Yeah. Hi, everybody. My name is Dan Itsara. I guess Dan, are we using my Thai last name or my American last? Okay, Dan Itsara Young Yoon, or you can just call me Dan.
I'm going to stick with Dan if you don't mind.
Yeah. So I am the CTO of Ascend Commerce Group. We are part of the larger CP group, which means we do a whole bunch of things. But I think that the best way to classify our activities is we are in the business of digital transformation, mostly for very large CP companies. So True, Macro, Lotus, those are all kind of our customers. So I think I'll probably try to bring a more B2B perspective to this conversation.
Great. Eric?
Hello. Eric or Per-Erik. Most people say Eric because it's too hard to say.
It's not that hard.
Let's see.
Go for it.
Anyway, I'm head of mobile on Central. I wish I was head of Central.
That would make life easier.
Been there for a couple of years. We are currently in a pretty exciting time because we are switching up the gears a little bit, trying to enhance the experience for our customers. I'm also quite hands-on when it comes so far, so I'm still very connected to the code in that sense. I'm an old game developer as well, so I have a pretty high interest in 5G for that perspective as well. I'm basically business to customer kind of guy.
B2C?
B2C.
Great.
B2C, yes.
Okay. So I like to start with, and thank you all very much for your introductions. I like to start with definitions just to kind of get the conversation started. Dan, I want to start with you if you don't mind. Can you talk a little bit about how we define this move from 4G to 5G and maybe some of the investment implications of doing that and where people should look when they're thinking about moving from 4G to 5G, what it really means?
Well, okay, let me think about it this way. Is 4G to 5G. 5G is just a faster version of wireless information transmission, right? But I think it's maybe it's more interesting to think about the implications of that.
Go ahead.
Because like, you know, I have a 5G phone. I'm not sure that I notice, you know, if the phone is on 4G or 5G, but I think the bigger implications are, okay, this enables a whole bunch of other devices as well. It enables like way more things to be connected than just your laptop and your phone. I think that from my perspective, the way that I see that is the expectation for businesses is that much higher, right? Because now we live in a world that is that much more connected, and that means that there's that much more potential to integrate things and make things more efficient and more effective.
But what does that mean from a network perspective? Sorry to come back to you, but what does that mean from a network perspective? Because I think when most people think about 5G, they think about, well, my phone's connected, my phone's going to be faster so I can play games with less latency, and we'll get to this in a second, right?
Yeah.
But you're suggesting then that more than just phones, it's not just what's in your pocket, it's what's all around you is also going to be connected to the 5G network, and then what's the implication of that? And then maybe we'll go to Eric and to Ubon as well for that too. Go ahead.
Well, I think from a network perspective, that means just like all sorts of devices, right? So like
everything.
Like yeah. So if we're talking about like from my from a business perspective, now we're seeing. So for example, like measurement devices in stores to track shopper footfalls, right? That can be connected and stream data in real time to like, you know, figure out how best to like place products. All sorts of devices that I probably don't even know about that can be used to like optimize how businesses run. You know, going from like running a fulfillment center or a distribution center manually versus being able to sort of like scan everything at once, because now you can like tag everything, right?
Yeah.
Which really wasn't like super practical before, or something that you could maybe only do for high value items.
Right.
But now we're in this world where, okay, like, you know, the very floor you walk on can be part of the internet. So I think that, you know, from my perspective, what it does is it really raises the bar in terms of the ambitions and the expectations of what people want to develop. So yeah.
And Ubon, maybe you can talk
Yeah.
about what this transition is like and what it looks like to you, particularly from the association of the Thai software industry.
Okay, let me introduce a bit about
Please.
ATSI. Okay, ATSI is a association that integrated about software house from Thailand. Almost of 90% we work for, we develop our own product or Thai brand about software Thai. Okay, so think about the 5G, how is I think is almost of our developers we think is will change the game of software because it's like a dream for our developers, because they have a powerful of network and very fast. Okay, but in the real segment in the ATSIs, okay, because we work for the real segment. I mean that almost of our customer is enterprise is only 10%, but almost is a SME. But our experience in the SME, we gonna help them to move to the technologies and let them to the stock market or something like that.
Right. But this is a really interesting dynamic, right? Because when we think about transition and transformation to 5G, we think about Central and we think about the CP group. But something like 65% of the Thai economy is SMEs.
That's right.
So how are they looking at this transition? Are they ready for it? And what's the impact on them?
Okay. Almost our people would like to move on the platform.
Right.
Yes, and right now they go with the foreigner platform. I mean that they use about like Lazada, Shopee or something like that. They go on that way. This is a SME Thai. Not too much that they ready to investment their own platform. You understand?
I understand.
Yes, it's only the enterprise or the big company, and government also that invest on the platform.
Got it.
By themselves. So think about our developer in ATSIs.
Right.
we try to move on the new technology and new experience for our customer. I mean the majority is SME. It's terrible. I use this. It's very terrible because we have to make the one thing first before we do the digital transformation. This is a mindset, digital mindset.
Right, so a lot of stuff has to change. This is the point that I want to make, and I want to get to Eric in a second on what it looks like from a large corporate. But the SMEs, which make up a large portion of the Thai economy, still have to get into a digital mindset before they can get into digital transformation, before they can get into the transition to 5G. I want to go to Eric in a second. Eric, Dan mentioned this idea of IoT devices, everything connected everywhere, right? And this difference in speed. Maybe you can give us your impression as well as what changes between 4G and 5G from your perspective and from the way you look at your B2C business. Like, why does the latency matter? Is it too slow already?
To be honest, I think it's pretty good already. But the thing is, like, if you look at companies like, I'm trying to give a pretty concrete example, like IKEA. I'm from Sweden, so I talk about IKEA.
Okay.
It's every single asset they have digital, very high resolution.
You talk about photos and samples of their products.
No,
yeah?
3D product.
3D
3D models, right?
Sorry, yeah, go
Everything is, they have the textures, they are very high resolution, and all those kind of things, right? And if let's say that you as a shopper want to go, you go through IKEA, right? You follow the path to arrows, right?
Oh God, not that.
But
Go ahead.
everyone goes there.
Everyone does.
So and you need just to find the meatballs, right? No, I'm sorry. But you can basically combine this with, for example, augmented reality, right? You can look at what you have in front of you, like the tables, the chairs, whatever, and you can very fast, with really high quality, replace it in your phone. So you can look at your setup. You can get this high resolution very fast into your phone, and to be able to see it in real time, right? You can walk around it and everything. I've seen some pretty impressive things already for in the car market when they have these. They walk around the cars and you look through the iPad, etc.
Can I just interrupt for a second? When you think about augmented reality and virtual reality, and to be fair, we can talk about the metaverse until we're blue in the face, right? But this idea of what it looks like in this 3D modeling, let's just call it XR, yeah? Because I don't know what kind of reality it's going to be. Does 5G give us a big edge? And does it have to be goggle related, or can it be just on the phone?
I actually think that the phone is pretty neat because it's not in the way. So far, all the goggles and the glasses I tried has been kind of an obstacle. I prefer to be able to just remove them, etc., etc.
Right.
But I think that the biggest benefit is anyone working with mobiles development, for example, today, or games, by the way, they know that we need to cache things to get a good user experience.
Cache meaning save them in memory somewhere, right?
Yeah,
so
we
they're easily
download,
accessible
we
and faster, yeah?
preload it, so we can actually show it faster and those kind of things. And that is potentially going to go away. We always have low-end, at least on the Android side, we will have low-end 5G phones with not that much memory, etc., etc. And we still need to probably do some adjustments. But just the idea that I can, in very easy way, make sure that whoever uses my application have the latest information in a very high resolution very quickly is quite impressive.
Dan?
Just thinking about what you said and what 𝗕𝗀𝗀𝘂𝗍 said, like I sort of had a thought about this in terms of like, does this lead us to a new world of platforms, or does it lead us more to a world of haves and have-nots?
So go
because
ahead,
like
because I was going to ask you talk about the proliferation of mobile, and you made, can I just say this for a second? Because
Yeah.
you made me think of the
Yeah.
same thing. You said, in the Android space, right? So we went through this whole process of, I've got a smartphone, you've got a mobile phone, right? And there was this massive bifurcation. It's taken a while for people to catch up to this mobile phone and smartphone penetration. Do you think we're going to go through that again? Is that what you're suggesting?
I think that what I'm sort of suggesting is like sort of on the business end of things. I've
Go
sort
ahead.
of seen how much investment it requires to produce these experiences, or even to like, you know, like all these devices need to be linked together. They need to follow some kind of business logic. Like it's hard, right? There's a lot of things that have like to get to the end customer, or to get the right experience with the exact correct price with the right promotion at the right time to this person who you've like come through your CRM system, and you know that's the right person to promote to. Like that is hard to do, right? And I wonder whether this means that we have like a new generation of platforms where like somebody can, you know, develop a tool that everybody can use, and then everyone can start taking advantage of this, or is it something where it's so specialized that only the large businesses can really do this, and we just have a world of like people who have it and people who don't? You know?
Do you have an opinion? Go ahead. Because this is fascinating for me, and I'll give you something again in a second. Go ahead.
Okay, for the digital content, I think is 5G is very necessary for our grow up in this segment, because the such as in my business, okay, we work for the digital content for education.
I was going to ask
That's
you.
right.
Go ahead.
Okay, we can make something is not clear or cannot explanations by teachers,
Right.
but we can use the animations about the metaverse or something like that to help students a lot. But it's a lot of investment. Yes, it's big amount. It's a huge budget to do that. So just only the big projects from the government only can support. And about the segment about the school and university along the Thailand, they don't have too much investment because they're waiting for the sponsor. Because all along that I work for the education more than 30 years, that they're waiting for the centers, Ministry of Education to do something and support on that project only. So I didn't see too much about the opportunity to develop in Thailand. But another thing, the opportunity for the digital content is maybe e-sport. E-sport, because it's the different way about the digital content.
So one of the things that we talk about a lot, and I had a conversation recently with the head of one of the biggest social media networks in Hong Kong and China, 600 million people on the platform, and the China president of HTC, which does the HTC Vive, so they're very involved in this VR environment. And we had this conversation about the metaverse for the masses. This idea that there needs to be an on-ramp to make sure that the mobile phone itself alone, or the smartphone itself, is adequate to get people involved in the metaverse in a way that makes them feel comfortable, so that when they finally can afford the resources to do that, sorry, go ahead, that they've
So-
already gone through it. Go ahead.
So, for example, our member of ATSI, we do the Panelists. You ever have experience to shopping at the 𝗕𝗞𝗀𝗀𝘀𝗆𝘆
Of course.
Emporiums? Yes.
Of course.
The Panelists, the lane that we didn't have any receptions. You can pay by themselves. This is our members projects. Okay. This is use a lot of the identify and a lot of big data to identify the each product and the pricing and the make it correctly when you check about, and very real time for serve for the customer when move on, and the number of stock that they buy, that they need about the 5G already. So this is I think some parts of developer in real sector we can add on about virtual realities or about the digital informations and big data together. It's going to be changed the experience of the customers.
Yeah, and I want to get back to this in a second too. Eric, I have something for you if you don't mind. I want to get back to something you said, that there's not going to be a necessity to put things in cash. Just give me 1 second first. I think it was Bill Gates who famously said back in like 1970 something, no one's ever going to need more than 64K of memory. Just to reference the fact that we've been saying this forever about like the technology that we use, right? At some point, the data that we need that's going to drive all this stuff and the visual experience is just going to grow to be big enough to use the 5G bandwidth, right? But still, when you think about it from a B2C perspective, what do you see as some of the new uses of it? Like if you could make up something yourself, what would you like to see from a B2C perspective?
So from Central, they want to sell things, right?
Yep.
So and a lot of their efforts are into get people recommendations on how to sell, right? It would be so easy. For example, we mentioned that the internet might be in the floor, for example.
Sure.
It's very easy to...
Probably already is.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
yeah, probably is. So it's so easy to, if we start combining all these things, we know the way that people are actually walking in the stores. Not all the stores are like IKEA, showing you, go here.
Which way
right?
to go.
Yeah. So a lot of these companies use they don't have this information, the flow of the customers, right?
They may have cameras up there that
They
are
might
taking
have
videos
cameras.
that are watching people go around.
Yeah, exactly.
now,
And
yeah?
actually, way back, IKEA used to have cameras in the ceilings to identify the path that people used.
We're actually going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the thing is, just by identifying those kind of things, I'm going to give an example which is a little bit. It might sound a little bit small, but the implications might be bigger.
Go for it.
For example, if you go into a Tops, I can't mention any other brands, right? If you
I go into Tops every day, but go ahead.
So if you go into Tops and you come to the cashier, right? What you have there is basically candy, tiny things just that you pick up, right? And that is because they know that people go there. They always pass there, and they add things that are cheap, they are not expensive, they are easy to pick up,
And at eye level. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And right, and identifying these kind of hotspots inside this one by getting all this information, I think is quite amazing. If we, on top of that, can combine it with a more real-time real-time information, like we can know that there's a lot of people in this area. What's happening there? There's a lot of people in this area. Do we need to salespeople? Can we have a personal digital AI shopper that guides us through the stores?
Do you think about dynamic pricing as well? Like if there are 15 people looking at the peanuts, maybe they should be more expensive, or maybe they should be less expensive.
Well, that's a good idea. I'll note that one down.
Please do. I have a few of these.
Yeah, but there's so much things that we can combine, right? Even if and especially if we start into talking about emergencies. I used to work I didn't work. I did a job for a company called Consilium Marine, I think.
Okay.
Which is a boat company. They have huge companies, and they work a lot about securities in boats. And just getting them to be connected more and real up to date to give you information what's happening, like fires, being able to guide, having a floor that would actually easy light up the way for you to get out of the store from your point of view would be quite interesting. Right?
Yeah, I mean, look, there's going to be a massive business around building maintenance where there are IoT devices in all of the buildings, and in real time it sends something back to some central control center that says, on the 3rd floor of the park, the pipe may burst. Right?
Yeah,
This is
exactly.
going to happen. It's already happening.
Yeah,
and there are massive implications for this.
One thing that I kind of looking forward for myself is, I'm a guy, right? When I go shopping, I try to go directly to what I want, I bring it, and I get out of there, right? That's my way of shopping.
Shocking.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And in Sweden, that is pretty easy because all the stores look the same. In Thailand, it's a little bit different, right? Everyone has slightly different ideas how to do things, etc., etc. It would be quite amazing if I say, I want to buy a pair of trousers, and I go into a random store. I instantly have access to the map. I know exactly where it is.
Indoor
I get
mapping is something I think about all the time.
Yeah.
Right? It's such a pain. Like, where are the bananas? I was in Tops today. Can you fix that, by the way? And
Yeah, of
Dan,
course.
Dan, I want to ask you the same thing. You look at this from a B2B perspective. What's all this bandwidth going to get used for when you think about it? And what do you want it to be used for?
A little bit tongue-in-cheek. I was going to say most of this bandwidth will be used for the business team to demand real-time data from the development team, who will struggle to put that together because truly making real-time data is really, really, really actually hard.
Have a rough day.
But
Go ahead.
sorry, what was the question again?
So from a B2B perspective, you have all this new bandwidth. You have 5G coming online. We know that you said it's going to get connected to all these different devices. When you look at it, you think, what do I want to build?
I think the biggest thing is going to be customer relationship management.
Really?
Yeah.
How would that work, though?
So basically, what I see, the sort of common theme, or maybe the underlying theme in what all of these large companies want, is they want some way to basically, like, computationally know every single customer and give every customer the exact offer that they want at that exact point in time. The same thing that you can do online through a web browser or whatever, They want to be able to apply that to real life. And you can see this in like the footfall sensor example that I gave you before.
Yep.
Is one example of it. But also, talking about like doing things like, incentivizing customers to scan things in the store with their phone, so you can connect it with the membership card, right? So that then you can figure out later on like what promotions you need to push to that customer. Like I think that what I sort of see is like at the end of the day, everything connects to customer relationship management.
So if that's the case, though, right? And Eric mentioned this as well. If selling is a thing that people want to do more than ever, and feel free, 𝗕𝗞𝗏, to comment on this too. Does social selling matter? And by social selling, I mean there's a trend right now in the e-commerce space for if I have a product to sell, I go on video, right? Whether it's Facebook Live, LinkedIn Live, TikTok, to sell things. Does more bandwidth give us the ability to make that more immersive? And even if it's not more immersive, does it allow more people to do more social selling? And is there like some kind of identifiable ROI for that as well? Anybody can comment on this. But you understand what I mean, right? Social selling.
Yeah.
Do you want to?
Let me give you my immediate reaction is that like, maybe a controversial opinion is I think that like social selling is a hack, a workaround for trust, basically, right? So what social gives you is trust, and so then the bigger question that I sort of come to is like, does having a better picture of the customer, does having the ability to push like more media, virtual reality, virtual media, does that somehow give us a route to build trust better? Because at the end of the day, that's what it's about.
So before you give up the microphone, if it's a trust issue a little bit, does it also give more people the ability to join this kind of e-commerce and personal selling, I don't know, revolution, call it whatever you want, because more people can have more access to better technology to do this? I get it's a hack, and I don't disagree with you at all. I had a whole conversation with a woman in Silicon Valley 2 days ago about does social selling increase the ROI? And anyway.
I mean, like, I guess I don't know, but I think I would have to say like probably yes, like just based on like the trend of things, right? Like we've seen this trend that like we go from like regulated media outlets to like everybody can be to some extent.
Well, everyone can be their own media.
Everyone can be their own media outlet, right? So so I guess yes, but like I don't know how that, like, is there a limit to that? Like, do you eventually get overwhelmed with too many friends recommending things to you, or like trying to figure out whether they're genuine in their recommendations or not, right?
I think
like,
so.
Like you see the recommendation, the review videos on YouTube, and you're like, was this guy paid to do this review?
Right.
Like,
I have my own view on that.
I don't know if there's a sort of like an inflection point in that or not.
There definitely is.
Yeah. Sorry.
Ubon, did you want to say something?
About the
Social selling and.
Yeah, I spend money a lot for that. Okay, so about social sellings, I didn't see too much in other country about the social selling.
Go ahead, it's a really good point.
Yes,
Yeah.
I just see a lot in Thai peoples to do the social selling. That I didn't sure that because I think about the phenomenon of the 𝗕𝗞𝗏𝗆. Do you know 𝗕𝗞𝗏𝗆?
Yeah.
Everyone.
PewDiePie, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Okay. Just she made me a mess.
Sell stuff? I thought he just streams games. No?
Still no, she is selling.
Oh really?
Yeah. Not still. Yes. It's amazing because this is a thing they use about their own characters and their own personality for sale on that, and about the a lot of Thai people try to do that, and I see that they use about the social media for business like this. I didn't show that the Facebook and TikTok and this is I think it's like not the main point of the platform, but we apply the platform to be the business.
And I think this is what Dan was talking about. It's a hack. These
a
platforms
hack.
but these platforms were not. These
Okay.
platforms were not built for that. Eric, can you comment on this idea of social selling and selling from a B2C perspective? Yeah.
I was just thinking because I actually haven't seen these much selling in Europe, for example. I see it a lot in Thailand. And I also see like on YouTube, they are selling like crazy. There are these, some of them are actually pretty good. But there's a lot of things there. Back in Sweden, it's a little bit more the other way around. You don't want to get things pushed to you. If you want something, you go and find the information instead, right? So we have kind of the opposite side, but you still have the same benefits, right? Let's say I go through
The opposite side called anti-social selling.
yeah, maybe.
Antisocial.
But the thing is that if I would do something here in Thailand, I would probably, let's say in Central World, I have one guy, he has his phone, he's walking through. I know, because I track whatever he's doing, I know what kind of product he's buying, and I would probably push things to him, right? I would give him, hey, you have this offer now, you have 10 minutes to buy it, right? And stuff like that. And I would even push, if I have the information, look at this video, these guys use this one, let's push it. Like back in Sweden, and that requires, the connectivity, it requires the bandwidth, and what we haven't really mentioned yet is the latency, right? Which is pretty important here too. We want to get the notification where we are there, not 10 meters away. In Sweden, it's the other way around. Is people usually go, when you are in one place, you see something that you like, and then you want to get the information. But you still have the need for the speed. A little bit less for the latency maybe, but you still need to, actively pulling things.
So I think you make a really good point. And as, as I mentioned, I was having a conversation with a funded company in Silicon Valley who builds, it's actually called Social Chat. And they're building an entire platform to allow people to do social selling. Our contention is most of the world doesn't want that, actually, at all. And I think Sweden is a great representation for what's happening in the Western world, because even in the US, I don't think people want that either. What's happening in Asia and in Southeast Asia is a little bit different. Dan, I want to switch gears a little bit with you. You still have something to say?
No, I was just going to say, oh man, you keep on calling on me.
That's because you're a good speaker.
No, but let me just,
Go ahead.
I guess like my thought is like depending on the culture or how people interact, people may or may not want this sort of like social thing, but I feel that like people do want trust in what they're buying.
Absolutely.
And the question is like maybe just the way that is transmitted is different in like Sweden versus in Thailand, right? But yeah.
So my contention here is that the better the production value is, the more the trust is enhanced, right? So if someone's sitting on a couch in their living room with like their refrigerator behind them on camera and trying to sell you a product, you're less likely to buy it than if they somehow enhance their environment and then try to sell you a product. It feels more premium, in my opinion. Go ahead.
Just a quick comment. The thing is, and this is something that I've been told by a lot of foreigners coming back to Sweden, is that when you come to Sweden, and I think this goes for at least Northern Europe, you trust people until they show you that they can't be trusted.
Yeah, fair enough.
Back here, it's a little bit the other way around. You don't trust anyone until they show that you can be trusted, right? So it's more like you need to see people.
Interesting.
If I see a random guy trying to sell something, even if it's on social media or something, it will not matter to me, right?
It doesn't resonate with
But
you.
there are a couple of people that I'm starting to recognize because I see them quite a lot.
Right.
And for those, I start to feel a little bit more trust, So it's a little bit built on that one.
Yeah, I'm kind of reverse. Like the more in your face, the more in my face you are, the less I trust you. Anyway.
Yeah.
I wanted to talk a little bit about software development and the implications of 5G, Dan. This should be your wheelhouse. How does this change the way like people think about developing software? And also, does no-code, low-code play any part in this? And can you push some of the development down to the end user because of the accessible bandwidth that they have?
oh man, Okay, there's a couple of questions in here.
Yeah.
Let me start by reacting to the first statement that you said is how do you think about developing this?
Yeah.
Which, I think like sort of in the history of computers, we have sort of gone from, we went from like the server client model, the mainframe age,
Yep.
to the end user computing age,
Right.
right? This is the sort of like 1990s-ish, like Windows.
Yeah, build it in an
Windows
Excel
age.
spreadsheet,
Right,
basically.
right. And then we sort of went to the server client
Client.
age again with the advent of the internet or the popularization of the internet. But I think that like, with widespread mobile devices, and the internet, and like, I guess like to me, it's still not yet clear what the balance will be between what I sort of see as being like three paradigms, like one paradigm being the end user computing paradigm, because like now the difference is that end user computing is now all of your phones and other devices and like, all the applications that we have to develop, like at the endpoints, right?
Yep.
Versus the server client paradigm, which there's still a ton of that, right? Like everything is sort of tied together somehow, and you're tying together different systems. And then finally, the third paradigm is the like distributed computing paradigm, which like would include blockchain stuff, right?
And
So,
cloud,
like-
everything in the cloud, yeah? Cloud native?
Well, I mean, like cloud is not necessarily distributed,
Fair
right?
enough.
Like you can use cloud in both a distributed way or or just like essentially a centralized server way,
Fair enough.
right? But I guess like my thought is what I have seen, at least like in 2022, is something that probably looks like, mostly server client still, with a really rapidly growing sort of like end user like devices
Yeah.
component, with kind of like distributed / parallel waiting in the wings still, which is another topic entirely. So yeah, reaction number one is to that. What was your second question again?
So that was it. The
Yeah.
second part of the question was, do we think it's going to get pushed down to the end user? And like, does no code, low code really play a part in this? Right? Because I think,
Yeah.
I think there's a generational change taking place, right? Like my daughter is going to be way more comfortable using technology than my grandfather, right? And she may not even think about it as programming, but because she has access to the bandwidth and access to tools, she may build some stuff that she doesn't consider programming, but it's coming over devices. She's connecting to other devices.
Oh yeah.
That's what I mean.
Yeah. So that's interesting you bring that up because like, in my company, we use this low code platform for a lot of things. And it truly is like, if it's a generational change, one of the problems is you have to wait a generation,
Yeah.
right? And one of the problems that I've found with it's called Coda. It's basically like a glorified like spreadsheet / database or whatever, right? You can actually build applications in it. But one other thing I've found is that it's very difficult for people who haven't experienced these platforms before or who are not developers to use this, right? Like the biggest point of feedback that the dev team will get when we use this thing is like, oh my God, I'm so confused by the thing that you built. Right. So
Well, the
like,
maintenance is always going to be a big deal. I talk about this a lot in the context of no code, low code. It's like I can build it for myself, but I probably can't build it for you and for him.
right. And sometimes I think that like for those particular applications, sometimes it doesn't matter, right? So if you build a low code thing to automate something that like two people are using, then fine.
Yeah,
right.
fair
Like
enough.
you don't need to have like a test suite and like pre-production environment or anything like that, right? You just
Right.
build it and
You don't need to
use
check it in and check it out. And
Yeah, which that's probably pretty useful too, right?
Yep.
Like there's probably more business logic written into Excel
Than
than there
anything
is
else in
written
the
into
world.
like any other programs, right?
For sure.
So yeah. But I guess like the question of like, does 5G affect like low code, no code? I'm not sure that it's the dominant factor versus all of the other factors in that, in terms of like, like having that generational change, getting people to actually be familiar with these platforms.
got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
At least from what I've seen. I don't know if that's like a depressing, maybe it's a depressing standpoint in that like, oh, you
so.
developers won't be able to push this work to the business team anytime soon. But
I don't think it's depressing.
yeah.
Did you want to comment on something? Oh, Eric, did you want to say something?
Just a quick one.
Go ahead.
Because if you're looking at mobile app development, I'm an app guy, and most likely there will be no change whatsoever for us. when it comes to actually developing app, because there will take some time before all the low-end phones that we have today are out of the market and not used anymore, right?
This is a great point. Go
So
ahead.
even if we have, you know, this amazing 5G, we have amazing high-end applications, devices today, it will take a lot of years before we can skip doing, you know, caching, for example, or those kind of things. So I think that the only thing that will end up for us is that we can enhance the experience for the people who are using this technology, but we still need to think about the other ones.
The idea here, right, Eric, is that you can't just wake up one day and just snap your fingers and everybody has 5G. Nor has a phone or a device that's accessible to 5G.
Yeah. So the only impact, well, not the only impact, but one impact that might occur is that it actually will take longer time for us to do things, because we need to consider more things.
2 things or 3 levels. Yeah. Okay. I'm being told we're running out of time. But before we do that, I'd like to just thank everybody for participating in this. Ubon Sutthana, Dan Itsara, just the English side of this, and Eric Bergman. I also want to thank Seven Peaks for making this available, and the entire VNU Asia team. Everybody that I know there has a name that starts with an M. It's Marty, Min, and it's May. I don't know how that works, and they're all wearing some kind of black except for Marty. I think the GM of VNU wants to say something as well before we wrap up, and I just want to thank everybody here. Do you have a question? Yeah. Okay, can we do that first? Marty, go ahead.
And my background is working with communication more than 26 years. Exactly for the 2G, 4G, and 3G, 4G, and 5G. In my experience, I feel that 5G is for the 4G. The one thing is very important. It's a real time. Let us say it's quick. And the second one is loading data is huge. The bandwidth is very huge. And that one is a benefit. And the one is a different for the IoT or the Wi-Fi something. It's a power. It's a mobile world. Maybe you can go anywhere. That one is a benefit. And I'm feeling that how is it for the you're working for the social. It's a weekend that you can respond to this right real time. When you're working for the student, and then they can respond you real time. For the 4G cannot. Maybe delay something and the student talking something, the teacher cannot get it. For the the application, the business, about the industrial very seriously, because the industrial is a really need the real time. 5G only one year you got the real time. But the really important is something about the real time, about the backbone of the beyond the 5G. You have 5G the phone, and the backbone should be quick also.
So
the backbone is quick and have a huge with the bandwidth. It means you can support the memory, the upfront, the edging, the phone, the 5G is a quick, but the backbone is slow. It's crazy, and the backbone should be quick.
So let's just have you answer that, and then we'll have the GM of VNU come up.
I was going to say I agree 100%. The biggest challenge is actually building or rebuilding the backbone to be fast enough to keep up with how large the pipe is, you know, and that goes like all the way down the stack, right? We're talking about like a fundamentally different way of like, you know, programming languages, you know, to a large extent are written around like serial processing rather than parallel processing by default anyway, and so you know it's almost
because
like,
historically it hasn't been possible.
Because
to do the
historically,
parallel
yeah,
processing,
historically,
right? So nobody cared.
Neither possible nor needed, right?
Right.
But now you're talking about a large challenge to the development teams of the world that need to make these backbones, and that also means that probably tooling needs to be a little bit different, and you know all sorts of things need to change, or at the very least you end up burning a lot more performance enhancement time to really keep up with the speed of the pipe now.
And
yeah.
5G is anyway. Now it's a 5G go to the low-level satellite, Iridium or something, and go to any place in the world. You don't need the mobile satellite anymore in the 5G feature. And it's made 5G is any place, and you don't need IoT anyway because you need the Wi-Fi something. But you want to modify and flexible for the working something, you can put the 5G immediately, and if they have a good network, exactly, good bandwidth, good network is quick. It means because when you want to working about the mobile, auto driving, it's
cannot do it.
And for the factory, you know the maybe real time the management about the emergencies or something that happen. The 5G is possible to do that because you can do it a mobile. If you need the fiber or Wi-Fi or something, fiber Wi-Fi something is maybe not, but there's something you seriously figure about the how to do coding and the security when you're using your is a 5G.
Okay.
Okay, 5G something is the right big, low latency, huge bandwidth, at any place.
In the interest of time, let's take the rest of this conversation offline. And Marty, do we want to get the general manager to come up? Let's do that now. Thank you, everybody, very much.
Thank you very much for the guests and then the speakers and moderators. I'm sure that we have a very impressive evening and we gain a lot of the knowledge from you and your experience. So thank you very much. And next time that we hope that we can work together again. Thank you very much.
Okay, so that was it, and we hope that you enjoyed the evening. And now the food is ready, so please line up and grab some pizza and some more beers. Thank you.